So good morning, influencers. We are super excited to be back another Saturday. As you know, this is our Significant Share Saturday inspirational broadcast. And I have to tell you, as we are planning and gearing up for the all-purpose 2021 execution series, we are just this morning going to give you a snippet of what to expect on throughout the series. One of the sessions is from prison to purpose, and we will have a panel. Mr. Stephen Bradford is with us this morning. As you come on, say hello, say good morning. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We want to hear from you. So I'm excited this morning to have Mr. Stephen Bradford with us. And I'm going to give you all a few seconds to get on in the room, to share out the broadcast, to let other people know that we are live. Listen, this is a conversation discussion you do not want to miss. I'm serious. You don't want to miss this discussion. It's going to be very candid. It's going to be going to be an eye opener. It's going to be very realistic, as well as practical. Mr. Stephen has an amazing testimony, and he's just going to speak with us this morning to the topic, you're more than a number. So if you would share out the broadcast, invite somebody else to join this morning. We actually want this to reach as many people as we can. For those that do not know me that are coming on, I would like to introduce myself. I am Shay Speaks, your host, your life and career advocate, purpose influencer, and the co-creator and founder of Wow Inspired. As I tell you, I don't create anything on my own. I co-create with God. So I'm just amazed to be back and to have Mr. Bradford with us this morning just to share some of his testimony. We're not going to be on long this morning because literally this broadcast is just to give you an introduction of what we will be discussing in the session from prison to purpose, that panel discussion. So at this time, Mr. Bradford, if you would introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you, Shay, for having me on and sharing your platform with me so that I can give my testimony and share my story with others. But my name is Stephen Bradford. I'm 42 years old. I'm originally from New Jersey. I've been living here in Salisbury, Maryland for about 25, 26 years. I am a college student. I work at a local rehab center for those who suffer from mental health issues as well as addiction issues. And I just came on today to share my story about being involved with the criminal justice system and just to give you a message of hope going forward. And thank you, Shay, again for having me on this morning.
Awesome, Mr. Stephen. I am just honored that you've accepted the invitation, not only to be on this morning, but also to be one of our panel speakers for the All-Purpose 2021 Execution Series. And that panel is going to be called From Prison to Purpose. So you are doing some amazing things now. So the first question I want to ask, we have personally spoke, but if you would tell the viewers, how long were you incarcerated?
I was incarcerated for over 2 decades, for almost 21 years.
Wow, 21 years. And if you don't mind sharing, you want to share the nature of the incarceration, like why so long, for what?
It was an assault with a weapons charge about 25 years ago that I incurred. And I received almost a maximum for those charges.
Wow. So now that you are home, how long have you been home?
For nearly 3 years now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So if you can just, I'm going to actually stop talking and I'm going to give you the floor just to share what you want to share in terms of your experience when you were incarcerated, in the transition, coming home, and, whatever else you would like to discuss. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Shay. Well, when I was 19, I committed a crime, an assault with a handgun charge, and I received a 35-year sentence for that. I stayed inside of the criminal justice system until I was 40 years old. It was a rough time. My way of thinking at that time wasn't the correct way of thinking. I had like a street mentality at that time. And you see it going on a lot in today's culture, especially with the young youth. I had that same mentality, like I didn't care. But the truth was I was hurting. I had came from a dysfunctional background. like most people do in those situations. And I was crying out for help, but I didn't receive that help. I ended up making the wrong decisions, and I went to prison for that. And now I realize that, that was my fault for not making the right decisions. And today I make good decisions. Since I've been home, I enrolled in college. I'm pursuing a degree in human services, and also an associate's degree in chemical dependency counseling. I just got inducted into an honor society. Um, yeah, for being the top of my class. I hold a 3.9 GPA, so I'm doing really well. But I just wanted to come on today to share a message of hope to those who have, been involved in the criminal justice system, or who are currently involved. That there's hope. Like, you can change your whole life by changing the way that you think, and that's what I had to do. And by changing the way that I think, and doing the right thing in every situation, like, my life has changed tremendously. And you can do the same thing. It's not hard. You just have to have a plan, decide what you want to do, and stick with it. Um,
Awesome. So, just to kind of like, of course, feed into what you're saying to make this more conversational. I first want to go to our comments. We have Mr. Cisco, my husband, who's tuning in from YouTube. Hello, good morning, honey. We have Miss Mercy Pender, who's on this morning. She says, good morning. Miss Maddox said, I am here for this as a mother with young sons who have felonies. She said, come on and help us in the community. And then my cousin John is on this morning. If I can ask you all to please share out this broadcast. So, Mr. Bradford, you said a whole lot just now. Number one, you were incarcerated when you were 19 years of age, yeah, right? And of course, at 19 years of age, in most cases, especially in the African American community, we see that our African American males, teenagers, they go through a lot. So when you were 19 years old, I mean, of course, this is like 20 years ago, right? My question to you was, can you ever recall being racially profiled?
Absolutely. Every day. I grew up a little different. I grew up in like predominantly white neighborhoods. So I remember like going across the street, because we lived in an apartment complex in a place called Delran, New Jersey, in Hunters Glen Apartments. And I remember we would go across the street to the white neighborhoods and to play basketball. And the cops would come behind us and harass us, saying, hey, what are you guys doing over here? Like, do you live here? And like, we're just going to play basketball. So I remember being racially profiled even back before. And that was before I was 19. That was around the age of like 13. So I remember being racially profiled from like an early age, even to today.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So I know we've spoken offline, and, you share some things with me. So when you were, of course, incarcerated for the almost 21 years that you were incarcerated, do you recall during the time that you were in the justice system receiving skills and things like that to help you when you actually were transitioning back into society?
There were a few programs, but not many. For example, I wanted to take a computer class because I first became incarcerated in 1997. And so I think they did have a cell phone, the big flip cell phones that are huge, but no smartphones or anything. And people didn't really have computers unless you were like wealthy. But they wouldn't allow me to take these type of courses there because they said I had too much time. It wouldn't benefit me. And that those programs were for people who were on their way home. So pretty much I guess they thought that I would never get out. So they didn't give me access to those programs. I was always denied for those type of programs.
So what was the earliest in your sentence that you tried to get into that, like the computer program?
This was from the onset, because I had a plan. I was like, okay, I made some mistakes. It is what it is. I have to face it. I have to face my consequences. And from the onset going in, I was like, I want to go to college and do a few things while I'm there. I ended up getting my GED in the county jail, and then I planned to go to college when I got there. But something happened. They couldn't find the paperwork, so I wasn't able to enroll in college till later. But then when I did enroll in college, they lost the funding for it. It was something about misappropriation of funds or something like that, and they couldn't no longer have the college program. You would have to pay for it. outright if you wanted to continue with the college program. And, making $1 a day or 95 cents a day, you can't afford college in prison like that.
So the cost of college in prison, is it less? I mean, you're talking about $1.95 a day.
Right.
Is the institution you have to pay for college while you're incarcerated? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, at a particular time, once they lost the funding for it, the only way you can continue on with your education was to pay for it yourself out of pocket. And at that time, the program that they had was like $4,000 a semester, and there was no way that I could afford that.
Making how much again?
95 cents was the least that I made, and the most that I made was $1.38 a day. And that
A
was for like a
day,
deferred job. Yeah, a day.
not an
An
hour.
hour, not a minute, a day.
Wow. So now we're talking about just going back to the comments. Good morning to my sister Lindsay Jackson. Good morning to my sister Tiffany. Latoya said, my son went in at 16. She know oh too well. And then Miss Corbin says, it's so hard for them. I have a son who has a felony on his record as well. So when we talk about your transition home, I mean, before you had 35, you were facing 35-year sentence, right?
Right. I was actually facing life in like 80 something years. So it was a long amount of time.
So how did you get to 35?
I was like coerced to plead guilty. Like I didn't have a choice. I had a public defender at first, but then it was like a conflict of interest because my co-defendants had a public defender as well. So I ended up getting a panel attorney. And he basically rushed through the case. He was like, I'm going to get you this, or I'm going to get you that, saying he would get like 10 years, a 10-year sentence for me. I was 19 years old. This was my first time ever involved with the criminal justice system, and my first time in prison ever. So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to do. So I put all my hopes in this lawyer. And to come to find out later on, he like wrote white supremacist novels. He used to be like a state's attorney out of Cambridge or something like that. So I was like, wow, this guy probably railroaded me the whole time. But he didn't provide any adequate counsel for me whatsoever.
So that's how you got it 35 years.
And
That was the deal.
Right.
So you were facing life, 85 plus years, but the deal that you received was the 35 years.
Right, that it would be 35, but we can argue for a lesser sentence. And my lawyer told me, relax, I'll argue. They'll end up giving you 10 years. You'll do about 4 or 5 in a minimum security facility, and then you'll go home from there. You'll end up making parole and going home after about 4 or 5 years.
So wow. So did you go up for parole?
Yes, I did. I ended up going up for parole in about 2015. So this is from 97 to 2015. I finally had my first parole hearing.
So how many times did you write the parole board before you actually received a hearing?
I never wrote the parole board. According to like the DOC guidelines, after a certain amount of time that you serve a sentence, and my sentence was considered violent because it was an assault charge, you end up going after doing half of your time. So you're automatically scheduled to go up half of your time. So you don't have to write the parole board previously for them to issue you a hearing. You automatically go up within that time. You might alert your case manager, like your social worker there in prison, and then they set the paperwork in motion for you. But that's how that process goes there.
So, Stephen, with you having the experience, there's a lot of people in the comments. They're saying that a lot of, the young African Americans, they take plea deals with fear of getting the max sentence.
Right.
And some of them have, sons currently incarcerated. Having to be a person that has been through that experience, what advice would you give to that mom?
I would say pray. Like my mom, she had a prayer line online. I had a lot of people praying for me. And I owe that to my success today. Everything to God, but pray. Talk to your son, your daughter, whatever the case may be. Let them know to stay away from certain types of negative people, to focus on their rehabilitation, because to be honest, prison doesn't rehabilitate you. It makes you worse. Like there's there's a lot of crazy things going on behind those walls. So if you want some type of effect, some type of change in your life, you're definitely going to have to do it yourself. So whatever programs that they do offer, let your son or daughter know, take advantage of that, implement what they're teaching you in your life. And you're going to basically have to do things on your own because there's really no help there. They're just basically warehousing people. Yeah, so that would be my advice, to pray, and whatever programs that are available to them, tell them to take advantage of it.
So how does a person that's incarcerated, how do they stay away from the negativity while they're incarcerated? Because a lot of times, I've never been incarcerated, but of course my husband, he has, and he's shared some things with me, but and then I have family members that have. A lot of times when individuals go into the justice system and they have these long sentences, they're told, if you get in good with this group of people, they're going to take care of you, or if you do this, then you're going to be all right. Especially if you have 35 years over your head, the first thing you're thinking is, how can I be protected while I'm in here? Because I'm like a little fish in a big deep sea, right? So
Right.
how would you encourage that mom or that father for that person that's incarcerated to really focus in on what they need to do in order to make sure that they get those good days, good behavior days, to make sure they're able to take advantage of those programs?
Right, right. Well, first, it is hard being in a situation that, it's not like being out here in the world. You can't leave when you don't like certain situations. You have to learn how to cope. So you have to definitely learn how to cope with situations that you can't change. I would encourage the mothers and fathers to keep constantly calling in, checking up with your child's case managers, because I've noticed that when they know you have people on the outside looking in for you, that are worried about you, that are concerned, that can make noise on the outside, they definitely do what they're supposed to do. So definitely stay in contact. Let them know that, your child, your son, your daughter is loved, and that you're there for them. And my advice to the son and daughter, or daughter that's incarcerated, it's a hard situation that we've gotten ourselves into, or been railroaded into, whatever the case may be. But you just have to make the best of it. Just busy yourself with programs and activities, self-help programs and activities to build your mind, work out for your body, stay close to God, and you'll be this fine. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Just be encouraged and keep going, and don't stop. And whatever, if you can get an attorney, I would advise get your child an attorney, so they can help them get out. But even with a public defender, like, a lot of times attorneys, they'll get your money and they don't even do a whole lot for you. They can do the same. The public defenders can do the same thing that they can do. So don't even waste a lot of money on that. Just keep fighting and never give up. That's the encouragement I can give.
Absolutely. So I know as we are closing, and people, they're in the comments and they're going off.
Right.
Miss Griffin said, this is so deep. She said prayer is key. Miss Mondock says, absolutely. That's how I got my 17-year-old out. I went to court and had my information with me, how prison can ruin young men. Yes, you pray and you keep speaking life to them. A lot of times, I'll be honest, I've seen it happen so much. And, our ECI is like the closest prison to us on the Eastern Shore. Right. I see often where, I had a conversation with someone that works there, and a lot of the guys that are there, they give up because they don't have no support. So she said, if you don't call, they don't care. She said she stayed on the lines. Yeah. So you have to stay on the line. So, we actually giving you this information. Mr. Bradford is one of the panelists for the From Prison to Purpose panel that we will be having for the All Purpose 2021 execution series. And I'm super excited about that. So just to kind of talk about what we're going to be discussing in that panel, Mr. Bradford. So during your transition coming home, like, what was your experience? What were some of the barriers that you were faced with when you came home?
Wow. There were many barriers, many closed doors. The first was the length of time that I was incarcerated. The world, technology, everything was different. When I first went in, they had the one-piece Nokia cell phones or the Motorola flip phones to everything being smartphones, smart technology. Um, I didn't know how to pump gas. I didn't know how to go to the doctor's office and put in the information, how to work the iPad or whatever they had there. It was a tough transition. The thing that saved me was that, I always learned fast. I was always intelligent. So I learned and I catch on fast. So I had to learn how to use technology. I had to learn how to just adapt to the different times and things that was going on, because the methods that we used back then, say, for example, of getting a job, you don't go in anymore and fill out a paper application, ask to talk to the manager and use those type of techniques in the interview. So it's like, wow, everything's different. So I had to catch up really fast. Also, there was another question you had said that I wanted to hit on, as far as, good Lord, I forgot. But yeah, it was difficult. Oh, and as far as jobs, oh man, I kept getting doors closed in my face. They were like, they wouldn't give me, like, I would have an interview, they wouldn't call me back. So it was very difficult, very difficult.
So what would you say, like, what was something that helped you? I mean, just imagine, I mean, you are a fast learner, right?
Right.
You have support. What happens with the individual that comes home from a 5 year sentence? We're not even going to speak, 20 plus years, but from a 5 year sentence, they come home and they have no support. They're just like you, or maybe, given the example that you gave, you were incarcerated for 21 years, right? Like you said, the way that things were done back then, it's completely different now. Given a person that comes home after being incarcerated for that amount of time, and things are so different, but they have no support, right? They go into the doctor's office to be seen by a doctor, and they are given like this electronic device and say, hey, complete this information, complete this questionnaire or whatever, and then they don't know how to do it. Were you ever offered any assistance when you went into some of these places with completing or operating that machinery?
No, I was never offered any assistance. I had to learn on my own. And that's the thing. They need to develop more programs in the community for people who are re-entering into society, whether it's halfway housing or some type of housing or something where people can get technology skills to learn basic life skills. This is what's needed in the criminal justice system. It definitely needs to be some type of reform, and these programs implemented for people coming home, because I was lucky. Like, I had support. I had people in my corner when I came home, but I have definitely came across individuals who have nobody. Like, their parents, their families might have passed away. Like, I even lost a lot of people during my time of incarceration. So a lot of people don't have anybody. So it's up to us, people in the community. That's why I'm here today, to speak out, to share my story in hopes of helping those brothers and sisters back there that are still, behind those walls. And to try to get programs implemented to help them when they come home, because it's definitely much needed in the community.
So, Mr. Bradford, I appreciate that. Absolutely. And that's one of the things, I work for the the Maryland Department of Labor. And what we do is we assist individuals with finding jobs, writing resumes. And I do see individuals that have been previously incarcerated. And a lot of them are ashamed to put their experience. Like, so they were incarcerated for 21 years, just like yourself. And they worked while they were incarcerated. They don't even think to put the skills that they used while they were working, even though
Definitely use that. Right.
yeah. So a lot of people don't know that, so they don't use it at all, or they're ashamed they're ashamed to go to interviews because they're afraid that they're going to be asked about their incarceration. Or, Maryland Judicial Case Search is free. Anybody can look on there to see what's what, right? So you got people looking people up, not even giving them the benefit of the doubt. So I'm just excited, and I appreciate you being transparent and open to share. I know we're down to like the last 5 minutes, so if you would, I know with financial aid, they have some implications where if you've had a federal offense, if you have a felony, you can't get funding for school. How are you paying for school now? What was your process of getting enrolled into school after having serving 21 years in the justice system?
Well, I was able to get financial aid. There are a lot of programs out there that people can take advantage of, whether it's in state programs, even if you're out of state, but the in-state colleges don't offer the degree that you want to obtain. They'll give you funding for that. And just because you have a felony doesn't mean that you can't go to college. I think they have stipulations that if you have a drug charge, like a distribution charge, any type of drug charge, then that will prohibit you from getting federal financial aid. But any other type of charges won't hinder you from getting financial aid, because I was able to do the same. And that's what I go to school, strictly on financial aid. So those programs and services are definitely available. And I think even where you work, I think it used to be called the one-stop job market. I forgot the new name that it's called now. Like if you go there, like if, the brothers and sisters coming home from incarceration, if you go there, they do have a lot of programs and services that they can assist you with. They'll send you to college for free if you score high enough on the test. So there are opportunities there, but there are a lot of obstacles as well. So we definitely need to do more to help people re-entering into the community.
So that is some good information, because I didn't even know that. So if you're listening, your loved ones have had run-ins with the justice system before, and they have charges other than distribution, they can still receive federal aid in order to go to school. So I believe that a major disconnect from community. We have programs, we have services, but it's not known, right? A lot of people, you can't take advantage of what you don't know. So
Definitely.
Exactly. So that's exactly why I try my best at any time that I'm given an opportunity to speak about the American Job Center, to speak about what we do, because they have the federal bonding program, and with the Department of Labor where I work, it's the American Job Center or the One Stop Career Center. Everybody know, you can either one of them. We're referring to the same place, right? Where if a person has been previously incarcerated, they're having an issue with obtaining employment, that the federal bonding program will give employers specifically like a 6 months, almost like an insurance, is an infidelity bond that they give to employers to secure this particular employee. Now, what I tell my customers is it does not prevent you from getting another charge. But what it does do is it opens up the employer's eyes to say, I got a little extra protection if I take an opportunity with this particular person. So it's really being able to know what resources are available to really get into that. So to the topic, you're more than a number. And I'm going to tell you, if you have not got on the event page for the all-purpose 2021 execution series, you want to get connected. I'm telling you, if you got sons that's been previously incarcerated, it's a free event. We're going to have various sessions, one of which Mr. Bradford will be a part of the From Prison to Purpose panel. We have another gentleman who was serving a life sentence. He's an author now. He lives in Annapolis, in the Annapolis area, and he's going to be sharing his story. My cousin Richard, he's going to be on that panel. He's doing amazing things as well. So I want you, as we close out, Mr. Bradford, when you hear you are more than the number, what would you say to that?
I would say you're definitely more than a number. If I could speak to those brothers and sisters behind prison walls right now, or even if you're home in the community, like, you're not defined by your past. Your past doesn't define who you are. It's what you're doing now. Take the necessary steps to do what you have to do and keep moving forward. Like, it's not over with. You can use your past to help people, and that's what I do every day. Like, I let people know, like, I don't hide it. It's not embarrassing for me. Like, I don't care what people think. I'm going out here and I'm winning people to God, and we're doing the right thing, and we're moving forward in a good direction. And you can use your past to help people, because it's encouraging. If they see that you can do it and where you come from, they're like, wow, it gives people hope. So don't hide what you've been through. Share it so that you can give people hope to move forward for a better future.
Amen. And on that note, listen, you are more than a number. To your sons, to your daughters that's in the justice system, let them know that the DOC number may be how they are identified by mail, but it does not identify who they are. So you just build them up. If you have not, again, make sure that you connect on the event. I'm going to actually put it in the comments from Prison to Purpose. Mr. Bradford is one of those speakers on that platform. Mr. Bradford, if you would, I know we do have some individuals that's in Salisbury that are viewing and watching now, and they would probably love to connect with you. So if you would at this time share your contact information, if it's just an email address, your Facebook, or whatever, we can make sure that we get that posted.
Right. I can be reached by my Facebook. It's simply Stephen Bradford. My name, the same name that you see on the front panel on your screen. Also, my email is sbradford. That's SBRADFORD 0378@gmail.com. And you can contact me by phone at 443-754-2203.
Okay, so we got S Bradford 0378
at Gmail.
At Gmail, phone number
443-754-2203. Like if you need any help, if you have any questions, if you're concerned about your son or daughter and you're like, hey, what can I do? You can definitely contact me. 2203. I'm sorry.
Okay. So we're posting that information. Miss Mata said, thank you for your testimony. Miss Tiffany said, this was awesome. God bless you, Mr. Bradford. Your testimony and story is one that many will hear. Your voice will continue to reach those who may feel that there are no possibilities or purpose after such experience. I pray blessings of God overtake you. I pray the blessings of God overtake you. So that's Mr. Bradford's information. S. Bradford 0378@gmail. That is his contact number, and his Facebook. We're going to actually tag in the comments as well. So, Mr. Bradford, I just want to say to you, thank you for just being transparent, being open to share your testimony. As my sister said, it's going to reach many. It's going to reach many. My sister Lindsay said, amen. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And of course, you've gone through, you've learned from the experience. Now you're reaching back your hand to help your brothers and sisters. And I'll tell you that amongst all that we say and we do, we want to be that light. So I appreciate you. Again, guys, if you need to contact Mr. Bradford, please contact him. He's open to do additional speaking engagements as well. You've actually also spoke at the college, correct?
Yeah, I was supposed to speak at the college, but that never went through. But I'm trying to set up an engagement for that now. As for the social work department, right?
So if you have, platforms, if you have jobs that would love, for an individual to come and speak to the youth, definitely reach out to Mr. Bradford. He is more than willing to do it. So it also, last but not least, don't forget to make sure that you join us, the All-Purpose 2021 Execution Series. It actually starts December the 29th, and I'm just so amazed at what God is doing. That particular event, I am actually doing in collaboration with my sister, Lindsay Jackson, and Women with Destiny. So we're just excited about what God is doing. So don't forget to connect. Mr. Bradford will be speaking at the event, during the event, on the From Prison to Purpose panel. So, Mr. Bradford, I'm going to actually give it to you for you to give us our closing remarks, and we're going to close it out.
To everyone, excuse me, I would like to thank you for coming out today. And for those who have like relatives behind bars, don't give up hope. It's not over. Just keep fighting for them. Let them know to keep fighting. Keep moving forward. We're starting a movement. I'm trying to start a movement that we can help those who are behind bars, man. It doesn't have to end there. Just be encouraged and keep praying, man, and put God first, and we can do it. We got this. We're already conquerors. We're victorious. So just be encouraged and keep moving.
Amen. So y'all know we do all that we do to inspire the influencer and you. Have an amazing Saturday until Monday. Don't forget Wow Inspired Kids are on Monday live at 5. So until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Thank you so much.